Hi folks, and welcome to our T3i YouTube channel. I'm Trisha and this is Darren, and we are both employees of T3 Interface. Darren is the mind behind all of the tools and I am the Chief Operations Officer, and so we are looking forward to telling you about our test lead set today. Now, our test lead is a very versatile tool. It provides a broad range of diagnostic capability. And Darren, why don't you run down some of the features?
I'll be happy to. So when I designed and conceived of this tool, I wanted to do something that was a silicone test lead. If you've worked with these before, some of the jackets are PVC jacketed, and when they get cold, they just don't flex as much. So the silicone will allow you to tie it in knots if you needed it to, even if it's very, very cold. Another thing I went with is a parallel conductor. And also, if you've been working with test leads before and you've got a black one and a red one, they always seem to get tangled up and you're trying to spending too much time trying to get them to untangle. So the red and the black here are parallel, and it's at the very end that we strip them apart to get them individually. But for most of their length, they're parallel together so they don't get in as many nasty knots that you might have discovered. I went with 14 gauge on this instead of your typical 16 gauge. One of the things that you can do with this test lead is run up to 20 amps through it. And so with 20 amps, I wanted to go with a 14 gauge wire so you can handle that. I went with stacking banana plugs so that if you are trying to get a common ground reference and you need to plug several things into it, I'll just take this red one for example, and I can parallel off of the same exact point and keep stacking on off if I need to. Or if I'm using our battery adapter, then I can tap into the battery and have multiple, stacks coming off of that. It also allows for a variety of different types of connectors, some that are male and some that are female off of one connector. So as I had mentioned before, I designed it so that it can actually put power into a circuit. So typically the only power I designed this for is 12 volts, not 120. So you're going to put 12 volts into it. If you work with 12 volt tools, then a DeWalt, Milwaukee, Bosch, I've tested it on those. I put these little flat connectors on. You just connect it to your plus and minus your battery, and it wets the tips of these with 12 volts plus and minus. And then you can just connect it into the back side of the test lead. I'll be the battery. Okay. And then now you've got it at this end. And what you might be able to do is, if you've pierced into a wire, you can now put 12 volts on the wire, and maybe on this one here you can ground it. Okay, so you see by these different connectors you have the ability to grab onto a wire, pierce through the insulation of it, and maybe this goes onto a ground lug. If you had to, so that's one of the test leads, is the battery connector, to be able to put 12 volts in. And you saw how you can pierce into different wires. Maybe you need to pierce into one of them, and the other one you want to do a test probe on. So now I can just take your typical DMM, which is digital multimeter type of a probe, and probe things. Maybe this end now is connected to your meter, and if you really need to go in like to the back side of a refrigerator port or something like that, you can now take one of these pointy pieces to make your tip even more pointier, and all connected off to the banana plug here. So as you see, we offer it with a variety of accessories. My everyday carry is basically the kit you see before you. I do carry a second set of the test lead set. One might be connected to my battery pack, feeding a circuit. The other one, I will have different connectors onto it, reading feedback from the circuit. And also with two of them, these are 48 inches long, so with two of them I can go a little bit longer, farther distance if I'm trying to troubleshoot something at a distance away. So yeah, I only have two of these with everything you see here, and maybe a couple other ones, but I mean, this is the way we have it today.
Yeah, so we have our test lead and our 5 accessories for sale, and we'll include a link where you can purchase those. And if you want to see our test lead in action, we also have a video showing you how we've used that in the real world, and some other videos about our test lead that we'll link as well. So this is Trisha and Darren with T3 Interface, where we help you maximize your time, talent, and treasure.